Okay, so we're looking at the structure of the screenplay now, and when you're looking at a movie, you've got this 90 minute or 2 hour template to work from. But with a 1 hour pilot, it's slightly different. You've got a 30-minute act one, the same as any movie, which is split into 3 10-minute bits with an inciting incident in the middle. The inciting incident is pretty much always at 15 minutes, and it is in this one. It can be in different places, but... And then in the second half hour, it splits into 2. I think you've got 2 key acts. So you could say Act 1 is the first 30 minutes, Act 2 is the next 15, Act 3, the final 15. What's the start? The start, once upon a time, Marty had a crap boring life. We see him advising this young couple. He receives this porno email. He's so bored, he's watching this. Then his best pal enters and closes the deal for him, kind of helping him and humiliating him at the same time. Then they visit this premises that his pal wants to buy. We're only at 5 minutes here. In the course of that, his pal talks to him about this Ozark's place, fortunately, as we will see. Then we go home and we have a very American Beauty family dinner where everyone's bored. So at the end of the first 10 minutes, what we've got is Marty's unsatisfying life, his emptiness, his loneliness, his bleak misery. Into the next 10 minutes, we discover that this porn film he was watching was actually his wife who was cheating on him. So someone's letting him know that. It's the private eye, we find out. He goes out at night and has a fantasy about the good prostitute. It's kind of a funny scene in the way he meets this hooker who is so understanding and intelligent and sensitive. And as I was watching it, I thought, God, this is so Hollywood. But then it was a fantasy. And then he gets a call. So this is the beginning of the inciting incident. The call being, Bruce says, you've got to come round now because Dell's here. But it's late. Yeah, well, Dell's here. So the inciting incident being that Dell, this comes at 15 minutes, Dell accuses them of stealing his money. Dell is this drug guy, and Marty and Bruce and their other pals are laundering his money. At the end of the next 10 minutes, we're faced with a life and death situation. Dell has started to shoot people. The third 10 minutes is part of the same sequence. In fact, I think in the original script, they keep it in the same location, but in the filming of it, Dell takes the guys down to the warehouse basement rather than being in an office, which gives us a feeling of moving forward. And Bruce begs for his life, is shot. Marty begs for his life, he's about to be shot, but then he uses the info that Bruce had given him from the Ozarks, about the Ozarks, to kind of work out a deal with Dell to save his life. We have this false moment where he thinks he's going to be shot, but then Dell goes along with it. Also, it's worth pointing out that Dell does his whole threat shtick by telling a story. It's very similar to in fact, it's identical. I'm sure they just took it from this. In Collateral, you've got the Mexican gangster story told about Pedro and what should Pedro do. And here they use the same story but say, what should my father do about Aunt Carlotta? So plot point 1 is Marty's life is spared, but now he's got this new action. He promises to raise $8 million in 48 hours, which again kind of seems extraordinary that he'd have access to $8 million. If he had to get $1 million in 48 hours, that would still be some doing for a financial advisor. In Act 2, he's told his wife that they've got to get out of there or they're dead. The kids object. And then I was looking for what might be considered a bridge moment. What's a sort of halfway point in this Act 2? And I think it's when you see the wife's lover thrown out of the building, splats dead. So the bridge being a unit of action, a fun action, which is not necessarily directly affecting the lead person. This leads up to Marty having the opportunity to have his wife killed, which he's got some motive for doing such things because during this crisis, this life and death crisis, she's actually been influenced by her boyfriend to try and rip him off. But he chooses to spare her, as it were. Well, you could say that, but you could say, the guy's a thief, not a murderer. He'd be quite a different guy if he was involved with murder. So he goes to get his money. The FBI think this could all be part of some kidnap thing, and that's why he needs this money quickly. But he threatens them. He threatens to cause a bank run. It's pretty unconvincing, but they go with it and they just let him walk away. So end of Act 2 is he's got the money. He's fulfilled the 48 hours thing that the task Dell set for him. We're into Act 3. It begins with he gives Dell the money. It's short, but Dell does a deal with him. And then Dell sets another task, which if he doesn't complete, he'll kill his family. So again, a bit of bad structuring here, bad writing here in a way. Even though it's an exciting episode, but he's just said, if you've got 48 hours or I'll kill you. And now he's saying again, you've got 48 hours or I'll kill you. And he's just met the FBI and all sorts. You'd just think, why wouldn't you speak to the FBI? I mean, or you're going to trust this gangster won't kill you when he's already reneged on his first promise not to kill you, and now he's promising to kill you again. So it sort of doesn't quite make sense. It's not particularly logical. They pack to go. I was looking for a sort of moment of truth thing here. And the only thing I was sort of considering was how Dell admits that he didn't know that they were cheating. And he killed Bruce's girlfriend on a hunch. So you get that thing that if the launderers had stuck to their story and kept their mouths shut, they might have got away with it. Anyway, so the family is setting off, but then we were introduced to another character, Agent Petty, or Pretty or something like that. Is introduced as a potential antagonist, a dark force who wants to trap Marty. So we have this other baddie being introduced at the end. And then the family drive off to the Ozarks. As they're arriving there, he steps out of the car and basically is shaking with fear mixed with relief and an apology to his family, I guess, that he's screwed up their lives. And then he walks through the woods a bit more and sees the lake. And he does feel like there's a sense of a new beginning here. And his family come to join him, and it's kind of as if they're united in this situation, which in the context of the story, it sort of, you buy it, but it's a bit odd. One final thing I should have said about the structure was another screenwriting point is to identify what the clear and visible finish line is, which I guess in this episode is they make it to the Ozarks alive. But it's an interesting point, this, a clear and visible finishing line, something exterior. So many times when you're looking at stage plays, dreadful stage plays, dreadful stage productions, they look down on the physical goal. But then you end up with the director trying to force the actors to feel as if they've achieved what they want. Whereas if you get the money, get the job, get the marriage, whatever, that external goal will physicalise your internal goal/change.